What is going on, my loves? This is Justin Herrera, and you are listening to Trying to Make It Work. You ready? OMG, we are finally here. Thank you so much for being here on the first ever episode of Trying to Make It Work. I never thought that I would ever say that. That's crazy. Oh my God, we're here. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much. Before we get started, I want to say thank you to everybody that's listening. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I know that you do not have to be doing this, but thank you so much if you're like on your way to work, if you're at the gym, you're taking a walk, you're enjoying your day off. Thank you so much for just taking time and listening. This means the absolute world. Here, we're going to get personal. It's going to get raw. It's going to get amazing. And this is what the podcast is. This is Trying to Make It Work, the podcast where we talk about real life experiences, encouraging motivation, and helping you find your road to self-love again, babe. A podcast that is messy. I should say messy, real side of life, relationships, trauma, growth, faith, self-worth, and learning how to keep going when things feel like it's impossible, babe. You do not understand. Like, we're going to figure it out. You know, you may not have everything figured out, but listen, we're going to take some time and we're going to dive deep into it. And this is super personal. This is something that this is experiences that I've experienced in my life that I would love to share and maybe be able to help you out and maybe help you find that light, you know, that's at the end of the road and just be able to just thrive. This has been a mission of mine for a while, and I wanted to make a space where people finally feel seen, you know, and understand and encouraging while navigating life and there are struggles that comes with it. Like, and not every day is guaranteed. Not every day that we're going to wake up and it's going to be the best day. Not every day is going to be like that, babe. There's times where we're going to go through it. And I can tell you one thing, me moving down from Michigan to here to Florida with my partner, which is absolutely amazing. He is an incredible human. And I'm so grateful and so thankful for him. He means the absolute world to me. And I love him so much. But listen, he has shown me how to be humble and how to stay strong and how to just keep going, you know? And because not every day is guaranteed. Not every day is guaranteed. Not every day is going to be rainbows and unicorns. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have to look in the mirror and be like, I am that babe. I am that bad babe. Like, I'm going to succeed today. I'm going to accomplish that goal. I'm going to run after that dream of mine. And this is like a dream of mine. So I'm going to run after it. So what better name to call a podcast than Trying to Make It Work? Because every single day we're trying to make it work. I know that for a fact. So this has been a crazy, crazy time period of my life. And I couldn't be more grateful to where I'm at. We've all made mistakes. We've all had our ups and downs. We are all human, and that is okay. That is okay. It might suck in the moment that we're going through those times and those challenges and those roller coasters that we're going up and down, up and down, up and down. And, you know, we're trying to find that, the center of a Tootsie Pop. Like, it is okay to not know and to not succeed yet. It is okay. And that's what I want this podcast to be, is it's okay to be yourself and to take time for you and really reflect on who you are as a person, who Justin is, who this person is in front of you, who are you that's listening today. This podcast is going to be super raw, super emotional, super personal. We're going to talk about it, babe. We are going to talk about it. See, I'm doing my little finger pricks right now. Like, we're going to talk about it. Like, I'm going to give you all the tea of my life. And also, we're going to talk about me growing up. And we're going to talk about where I'm at right now as an adult. But, like, also, I'm going to be able to, like, I'm going to try to help you and try to implement that you're not alone. You know what I mean? Like, you are not alone in this. Everybody in the speaking world can relate to any of these episodes on this podcast. That's why I think that this is the best thing for it, because anybody can relate to any of these subjects. It's not either gay, straight, bi, trans. Anybody that can speak can relate to any of these subjects, and that's what I want. I want to be able to implement that love through this to you, to help you realize that you're not alone, babe. You're not alone. And I'm going to say babe a lot because I say it all the time and I'm crazy. And so you better get used to that. But anyways, this first episode is called The Inner Child That Still Needs Love. And growing up in a family of 7 and having lost a parent at 18 and just growing through that and growing up in a religious home and coming out as gay was probably the most difficult, hardest thing I've ever been a part of. But also too, like, I think for myself, because I had to like really realize that, like, and really come to grips with myself and who I am as a person. Because like, you can literally look at me and you're like, that's a gay man. That is a gay guy. Like he's living, he's confident. And that's okay, because like I'm all right with that. I'm all right with like letting people realize that about me. But like, I think I had to come to the grips with myself, being able to accept that and to show that publicly. And as I was, but also to be confident with it. I always got called a diva growing up. And I still am to this day a diva that struts everywhere for no reason. But that's okay, because I love it. I was the weird kid out. I was like the weird kid that like was like there, and I was the one that was involved in musicals, and like I loved to sing. I loved to have my headphones on and my little Walkman, and I would be outside dancing and singing and pretending I was in front of a TV camera and just like wanted to be a star. That was like my whole goal as a life. Like I wasn't like the kid that was, oh my God, I want to be a doctor or an astronaut. I wanted to be famous. Okay. I wanted to be famous. And I'm just right now, I'm just like, I'm happy where I'm at. And like, if that comes, great. But if it doesn't, like, I'm not going to cry about it. I'll just be like, okay, cute. At least people will know who I am. Oh my God, I'm so crazy. Okay. Anyways, I was that kid though. I was that kid that was like in the woods running around, like just trying to slay a dragon, trying to just, I was creating adventures in my head. And I love that I didn't have a phone growing up, and I didn't have an iPad in front of me distracting me, and I didn't have anything. I wasn't even able to get my cell phone until I was 18. So like I had no distraction, And so I had to have that imagination to be able to get who I am, to be able to be who I am as a person. When I grew up, I really, like, my mom passed away when I was 18. She was diagnosed with breast cancer when I was in 9th grade in 2009. And it went away. She went into remission, and we didn't think anything of it. And like, if it would come back, and then it ended up coming back, and she ended up passing away in 2012. And that was my best friend. That was a person that I called every single day. That was a person that I talked to every single day, that I would literally call her work number from my phone or from the office at my school just to be like, hi. I was always that person. I like remembered that number on speed dial in my head. I was like, remember when we had to remember numbers? That's crazy. Like today, if somebody were to be like, oh, like you have my number, I'm like, I don't know it. Like, put it on my phone. Like, I'm not like, I don't know it. I'm not like back in the day, I feel like we had to be smart because we had to memorize a number. But like, I would always call that number, and I would always say, hi, Mom. Hi. And she would always pick up. She's like, how are you? You're okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm just living. I'm just out at school. She'd be like, okay, honey, go back. Like, you're okay. Like, you're fine. Nothing's wrong with you. And like when I was ever sick, I would always call my mom. Like she would be like, oh, can you call Dad, please? Like, please help me. And I think because I just never had a relationship with my dad growing up, and I never had that bond with him. And once my mom passed away, I was the only person living at the house with him. And so like I kind of had to make that relationship. Like it was either that or like silence was going to be had. And when my mom was about to pass away, I remember hanging out with her in the ICU, and I kind of was just like, we were playing Phase 10. Loved that game, first of all. Loved that game before she even loved it, but she loved it, and she would always be like, "Come on, let's play, let's do it." And that was my favorite, and that's still my favorite to this day. But she always told me, she's like, "You're different, babe. You're somebody that's different. You're somebody that not everybody's gonna meet every single day. And I want you to embrace that." And that really brought me to tears because it was like one of those things where it's like, she was like, "You're going to have a hard time growing up in the family that we live in." And I never knew what she meant by that until I really got older. And then I understood what she meant. I really feel like I had to go through what I went through because that's what God's plan was for me. I think it was hard for my dad to accept that I was gay. You know what I mean? Like, I think he he was that parent that was like, "No, you're just going through a phase. You're just going through something." No, I wasn't. I had my time where I was like, I am, accept it, and to where like it broke our relationship as a whole. I didn't know if I wanted to keep continuing that relationship with him. The inner child of me, that was always that craved that attention from my dad, that craved that love from my dad, and craved that love from my mom that I lost, like was there. And in that moment, like that version of me, that inner child of me that still needed that love, like was still somewhere deep inside, even though now I'm 30, now I'm in my 30s, And but the inner child, he's younger, he's quieter, more sensitive than I've ever let the world see. But for years I just pretended that he didn't exist. Like when I grew up more, I was just like that child that was inside of my mind, like the one that had that adventures. I buried him away. And I let the world and the negativity take me down so bad. I buried him under relationships, under responsibilities, distractions, and constant need to prove that I was strong enough to handle my own life. Becoming an adult like meant that leaving that kid behind, but like really like truth is that kid never left. He's still there, babe. And so you're always fighting to let that like inner kid like let loose, and but that was the version of us that first learned what love felt like, and in that moment, like I didn't feel love from my dad, and like it was hard for me to be able to accept and be able to walk away from that relationship. And but like in that moment, I didn't feel loved, and I didn't. What it felt like when love didn't show up in the way that it needed to, like when you're growing up and you feel misunderstood, judged, and not fully accepted, the child carries those feelings for long after their childhood ends. You know what I mean? Like time moves forward, but certain emotions stay frozen in that place. Like you grow older, you build relationships, you start trying to make life for yourself. But sometimes the kid inside you is just still waiting for the love and acceptance and the reassurance that like he didn't always receive. She didn't always receive. People like I'm trying to relate this. Like sometimes you just gotta like that kid inside of you like is still waiting for that love. Hey, what's up? Thanks for listening so far. This podcast is brought to you by Doughy, the official snacking dough. Designed to crave, built to snack. They have delicious flavors just like chocolate chip, WTF brownie, and birthday cake, and many more to come. This product is 100% gluten-free, plant-based, and low in sugar. If you're looking for a late-night snack to crave on, this is your go-to. So I am going to show you how to save some dough by going to DoughyFoods.com, putting in the discount promo code TTMIW, TTMIW, and that will save you 20% on your entire purchase on us. Thanks again, Doughy. And that is the hardest part of growing up. I think like most of us spend our adult lives unknowingly trying to get other people to heal the child within us. You know, we look for partners who finally give us the validation we've always wanted. We hope that if someone loves us deeply enough, it will somehow erase the pain that came before them. But love doesn't work like that, babe. Another person can support you. They can hold that space for you. They can love you in a beautiful way, but they cannot go back in time and rewrite your childhood. And like, I would never want, like, for instance, like Eric, like I would never want him to like go rewrite my childhood because, like, listen, he has seen me through really, really hard things. He's seen me through like when some of my family didn't accept him, like didn't want him to come to Christmas. But then part of my family was like, oh my God, yes, like doors open. We love you too. And like that part of me, really, I lost it because I'm in a relationship where like I want my partner to be seen with me, and you dream of that as a kid. You dream of that as a kid, like you want your significant other to be just like your family, just to accept them and just to love them and to hold them and to be like, oh my gosh, I'm glad you're here today. But like I learned that like that's not a thing for me sometimes. And not from everyone, I should say. My brothers, I grew a big relationship with my brothers going back home and moving back home to Michigan. And I really noticed that because like at first I didn't have like a relationship with my brothers. And I did have a relationship with some of them, but like not like, oh my gosh, like let's call each other and let's talk about life and like let's catch up. I didn't have that. And like this situation where Eric was not able to go to my dad's house because he and I have a relationship in a way that my dad does not believe in. And for me, like Eric was already coming to Christmas. And so when he wasn't able to be there, I was like, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to be there. Like, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to just leave my partner here, and it created a divide. It created a divide that like really caused a lot of trauma for me. For a long time, I thought strength meant ignoring the past. I believe that if I kept moving forward, eventually those old wounds would just disappear. Those wounds that are ignored don't ever heal. They hide, babe. They show up later in relationships. They show up in moments of insecurity. They show up in the quiet parts of life when you are alone and you're with your thoughts. The inner child doesn't just disappear just because we grow up. He waits. He waits for someone to finally listen, babe. There has been so many moments in my life where I had to just sit with uncomfortable truths, moments where I realized that some of the fears that I carried into my relationships were actually about the person I was with. They were about that younger version of me who once felt like he didn't belong. The kid who wondered if something about him was wrong. The kid who learned that being different sometimes just meant being judged. Those experiences, though, shaped me. They shaped me in a form of like whether you want them or not. Like they're going to shape you. But acknowledging the pain doesn't make you weak. It makes you honest. And honesty is where healing begins. And I've asked myself questions I used to avoid. What did the younger version of me what it actually needed? He needed reassurance that he wasn't broken. He needed someone to tell him that who he was didn't need to change in order to be loved. He needed to feel safe being himself. The truth is that kids spend a lot of time feeling alone. And I did. I still do. I'm like I have my moments. I feel like we all have our moments where we do feel alone. And it shows up in relationships. It shows up in vulnerability. It shows up when you're standing in front of somebody that actually gives a shit about you and actually cares about you. Like, I've had my moments where like I'm with my partner and like I feel so insecure, but like he is so humble and he's such a great, confident human that like he helps me embrace that. I've never been loved so much by somebody in my life. I can tell you that right now. I can tell you that right now. Comfortably, I can tell you that. But remember to stop blaming yourself for the pain you've experienced. Stop feeling like you have to learn love. You start understanding that story that didn't make you damaged, but it made you human. And the kid inside you deserves love, babe. You can show up for them. You can speak to yourself with kindness instead of criticism. You can remind yourself that my worth was never defined by the people who couldn't understand me. And most importantly, I could choose to build a life where that inner child finally feels safe to being seen. Because healing though, isn't erasing the past. It's about learning how to care for parts of yourself that once were left hurting. And some days that process is so messy and so bad, and the emotions just feel so much heavier than expected. The inner child doesn't need perfection. He just needs to know that someone is finally listening, and that someone is you. So really take time, to really just find that inner child and just think back to when you were a kid, how much love did you really experience, growing up? And maybe you experience a phenomenal amount of love. And I thought I did for a while. I was like, wow, I really did have a really good life. But then I really thought about it, growing up as a human, as an adult. And I was like, did I though? Did I? Or did I just believe it because I was kind of forced to believe it? I want you to really think about today and take that time for yourself and just really acknowledge your existence and acknowledge that you are that bad babe. You are. And you are going to make the world so great. So great. You're going to do it. And I'm so excited to be able to continue this journey with you and continue this journey together. And I really hope that you got something out of this. I really do. I really do hope that you got something out of this, because that would mean the absolute world. But you know what? There's more episodes to come. And thank you so much for listening and taking time out of your day and just helping me release all this, And I'm excited to be able to have this journey with you. And I'm excited that you're here with me. And I cannot wait for you to listen to the rest of Trying to Make It Work. I'm going to be doing episodes every single Wednesday. And so I'll see you next week. But thank you so much for taking time and listening. And I hope you enjoyed it. But this is Trying to Make It Work. I'll see you soon.